I have to say that I seem very outspoken, but when I come in front of such a crowd, I suck. So please tolerate me, and I will be a bit nervous. I will sit down. So how to introduce myself? I don't know, because here in England you will call me producer. Back home I will be more art manager, organizer. How I like to see myself, again, like a juggler, because I juggle all the time. So I'm somehow, sometimes as we just described, sometimes I just like sharpen idea or contribute to sharpening ideas or bringing people together or always playing the mediator between artists and the audience, always trying to convince someone by something, but somehow. So I will not really identify myself. I will say I'm co-founder and recently managing director of Mahatat for Contemporary Art. So Mahatat for Contemporary Art is another problem of identification. I brought two examples with me. This is a brochure of 2014. This is a brochure of 2016. And there is another older one that I didn't bring because I don't have anymore. But actually, in the first one, it describes Mahatat as initiative who works for democratization of art. And then at a certain point, we thought, and then I will come back why. We thought maybe it's a bit too dangerous to mention the word of democratization in our flyer. So anyways, we said, no, come on, we have to go back. How we are registered, we are LLC, Limited Liability Company. So we are LLC. So here, in the 2000, established about Mahatat since the establishment of Mahatat LLC in 2011. The service provider based in Cairo, so and goes on, which has stated all our services or our activities in a different way. And then in 2016 we said, okay, because actually we don't do any effort of selling our services, so maybe let's go back to what we really are. And I think this is the most convenient way. We are older to say initiative, so we are not initiative. We are 5 years old now. We are Cairo-based, yes. We are culture and social enterprise. And we do a lot of services. So basically what we are doing, so I will go very basically what we are doing, how we are doing it, and then I go back again about the differences of identification. So as I said, we are established since 2011, and we have different areas of work. So basically one of them is, and this is the most remarkable about our work, is we're bringing artists to the public space. Why by then? Because by the late 2011, after the revolution uprisings, there was a different sense of the streets. And we were thinking, we were originally 5, and then we ended up 2. So now I'm co-founder with another one. That's me. We were thinking we have 2 problems, or we felt like there is something for us to work on. Institutionally, it was very difficult to find well-established job or to have like sustainability as an art worker or someone who operates or who works in the art scene. And because most of the places were very small, not really vision-driven, and it's about one artist run somehow or practices. Very few institutions in a way. So we thought that we are fed up and we need to have proper jobs and we need actually to create something out of us, but based on our vision. So this is why Mahatat we are working. We started this on institution level. Another thing, we were pretty bored about the art. We go from one gallery to another. Most of them are based in downtown Cairo. And we are bored. We see the same people, and we didn't like it. So at a certain point, streets were open. We wanted to get out of this. So we were working into basically two objectives since the beginning until now, is making art more accessible in terms of you can go in the metro station, go into metro and pay £1 and see art intervention there. Or walk by any street and see something happening. So going to the streets and go to the public and make art more seen somehow. And from another thing, for example, I am from Alexandria originally, and I have to move to Cairo to be more working in professionally in a way in Cairo. Now Alexandria has a pretty professional initiative, but for me it wasn't. But back on the time, I just wanted, I felt like if I'm an artist, I have to move to Cairo. If I'm someone interested to work in the art, I have to move to Cairo. So we're working in the decentralization too. So first area of work is actually doing art in public space, bringing artists, professional artists into the public space, or somehow set up things, convincing artists. This was originally a musical, a theater group called Teatro for Independent Theater, and they usually do indoor, and then said, you know what, it would be great to hear some opera singing and some oldies, Arabic oldies that people really love in the street. I said, yeah, how we can do that? Why don't we do in balconies? And this is how we work.
Brilliant.
We toured for cities, and this is one part of the project. Sometimes we do also displays in public space, and this is a community art project that we just finished. So, in terms of making art accessible, also, we're trying to make it visible in different ways, like on very small scale, go to a neighborhood, work with the CBAs or NGOs working on the ground, based in this community, and then we develop together something. It might result on this, or might result on this. This was like, actually, it's a game facilitators, and he worked with some kids on the public space, how they create their own game, for example, in public space. This lady is same community of this, and they, for 10 days, worked with artists about, this is a very remote area full of workshop and material. And then we were starting to do things out of upcycled material. So we said, when we worked on the community, we said, yeah, there's a lot of workshop, there is a worker, maybe we'll do something with the materials, or maybe the kind of art that we will do is upcycled material, based on upcycled material. And then, as mediator, because we don't have any skills, we are only organizers, just go to the artists, ask them to work with us for this project. So this is somehow what we do. This was a celebration near the artwork and kind of interaction with the art. Or sometimes production. We're trying to grow our production arm somehow. At a certain point, we were very provocated because everyone related us to the revolution, which is, as I said, it's not something that we don't like, but it just that wasn't the reason why we did it. So I said, like, okay, you know what? Art and public space in Egypt is very old. It's really based and enrooted in all folkloric art, like fire eaters, like acrobats, clowns, and till the 60s or 70s, they were like street artists who can have money from the public and so on. And there is a legacy, plenty of legacy around the wonder box and storytellers with music and stuff. So this project, it was the wonder box in a very contemporary way. So we choose the hero, the Cairo drivers. Anyone comes to Cairo will understand what I'm talking about. Cairo drivers are crazy. Really, taxi drivers are really, really crazy, have plenty of stories. And so we choose this character to be the hero, and then artists, storytellers collected stories, musicians put some music for this piece, designers design a new contemporary way or device, which is the Wonder Box, and so on. And we organized like 11 nights in Cairo. Till 2013, we were working basically, so we'll do I will just go there. We will do like performance in Cairo. Okay, Reem, the facilitator. And we do trying, starting from 2013, started to say, okay, we need to work more on the decentralization. So we started to work on our second arm with the learning. So not just exposure, making people more exposed and to the art, but also try to work on amateurs or artists or art operators who might not living in Cairo and then will just want to develop themselves. So we started to, this was part of storytelling, street storytelling workshop in one of the cities where we are working. So, so we work with artists, emerging artists, people who are like to do something related to art, whatsoever, and or art operators or entrepreneurs. And we learn by doing and we learn by the hard way. So we started first to work with artists and said, okay, it's not enough, it's not sustainable. We are very small. We have no capacity to work everywhere and be enrooted in each city where we are working. It's too much for us. So we have to work on something related to management. And then working a bit with management said, okay, but management in the art, that means that we are bringing people to the same model that is not really functioning that much anymore for the limited resources, based on funds, fundraising, networking, and people in the cities not necessarily speaking English, so they can't write proposals. Maybe they don't have the know-how, and maybe they don't have also the accessibility to networks and the right people and so on. So we started to say, oh, okay, maybe not management, but also we focus on entrepreneurs. How we do it, where we do it. So we are based in Cairo, but then we started in Damietta, in the city, and then we moved from Damietta to Mansoura and Port Said. And usually when we tour, we started from 2013, our performance, not just performing in Cairo, but also make a tour. Every quarter, we always tour different kind and genre of performance. Sometimes music, like opera and balcony, sometimes theater, street theater, sometimes giant puppets with music. I mean, sometimes we display visual arts or craft. I mean, every time we work in a different way. How we work? We scout a lot, we map a lot. The team or with artists, and we always based our work on need assessment and research. We meet a lot of people in the cities where we are doing the programs, or we set what we will do next time. It's always, we have like a big frame, but the content is always doing by practice somehow. Focus group with the artists. So sometimes also, at a certain point I said, okay, we need to go to the public space and what kind of things that we need to present for the coming period. And then we made like focus groups with artists, sometimes urbanists, sometimes architects. Any knowledge that we don't have in-house and we want really to bring a discussion about. Yeah, we love flip chart and brainstorming and word cafes. So I will give two examples. Two examples of how we learn from our practice and how we would do it. So, for example, one of the while scouting the 4 cities, searching for a good location for opera and balcony, the shows that we did, we stumbled on this palace in Mansoura, and it was in ruins, and it was really, really bad shape, and we were limited resources. So we seek like partnership with Save Mansoura, which is like non-formal group of architects who are very interested in the heritage of the city. So they really helped us to reach the municipality or the neighborhood authorities where they were surprised that they have this monument in their neighborhood. But then somehow they cleaned it up and we prepared it, and we had this. So, and it was magical. If you saw the video, you will, at a certain corner of one screen, you will find me jumping. It's very humiliating, but it was that moment where it was sparkles. I mean, it was amazing. And people were like this, and children were dancing, and I love opera, and it was for me listening to acoustic, real singing in the public space was something incredible. Especially that opera is very not really Egyptian, so to see also how people react to this. And we had like in between some old-ish, classical, nice Egyptian songs that everyone loved, so people were very happy. But then we, with this sparkle of this, what is happening, we said, okay, we need to try it out really. We want really to see how this can happen again and again, how we can create this magic in a way. So it resulted on this. It's a toolkit that we made, and it's actually a model of how sometimes we work. It's like sometimes we experiment, trying to do like action research. So we were working in another city, Porsaid, another city. And we scouted, we made focus groups with artists there, with urbanists here, how to revive abandoned spaces through art. So, and then we come to our own theory, and we started to have, this is it's a villa of Ferdinand, which is a Gothic style one, and it's very old. So actually we didn't do the intervention here, we did the intervention in non-space actually, behind it. This one. It belongs to nobody, and it's out of the scope, and it was perfect for our intervention and our pilot experimentation. And it happens to be, we brought musicians and visual artists, and this is an exhibition about the heritage and the space, and of the space, and this is how it turned out. Beautiful. I love it. It's like I'm fond of our projects. This is really cool. But actually, again, this is something because the last area of work, or somehow, or the things that people don't see that much, that we love knowledge sharing, we love produce toolkits, we like to have like small meeting, focus group, talks and talks and talks, and it's part of our work, but it's not very visible. But so this is the place, and this is video art made out of it and screen. A lot of work has been done on a community level and engagement, and Reem can say it all because she is the coordinator of this project, so she did a great job on it. How we do it, again, not without our partner. This is a small, local, non-formal group of young activists that are very interested in the heritage of the city. They organize tours, and actually they help us. They called Porsaid ala Qadimu. This means Porsaid as it has to be, or as the old days, something like this. And they organize tours, they helped us in the community level very much. Again, this was like group of children learning percussion, and one of the NGOs where we worked on upcycle. So on the same time we worked on upcycle, and then at the same time we asked this group of children to perform the day of the inauguration of our installation. So somehow we try to integrate them in our activities. Okay, so back to why there is a difference. And when Chris told me like it's all about opposition, I said, okay, Heba, do we oppose anyone? and actually I found another word, it's more, I see it more adequate to what we are doing, is resilience. And it happens that we had like Muhattat competencies and has resilience. It involves maintaining stamina and performance under continuing stress, and to act effectively under pressure. It includes bouncing back from disappointments or confrontation, not letting them negatively influence ongoing performance. Well, and goes on and goes on. And I think this is what we are doing. We keep pushing. I have plenty of stories, but I can tell you 2 stories from the field. Back again on 2013, and this was a project the first learning attempt project, which is called Face to Face, and we run it in Damietta. And then we run this long 3 months workshop on theater, and those are amateurs from the city. They've never been in the streets, they've never been performing ever. And then back in this time, it was June, July 2013. So those who knows a bit what has happened there, thank you. So we had the Muslim Brotherhood there, and I think there were a lot of plotting against them, and it was really local initiative, coup, we don't know. It happens that by then we didn't have fuel, we have several electricity cut, and I mean the country was like boiling and enraged. And by then it was the end of our project and out of the project, and we have to go to the streets. And I remember as I was traveling and coming back, and my partner, it happens she's a German. She speaks wonderful Arabic. But anyway, tell me, and then Heba, don't worry, we will manage to get you from Cairo to Damietta. Why? Because there is really crisis of fuel. So our main concern, how to get to the city, not to perform, not to prepare anything, just to go to there. And then actually it happened, thank God, that we had enough fuel. I mean, 2 days queuing before to have this fuel, if you can imagine. So we have the car coming and picked me up, and I came there. And of course, to prevent the electricity cut, we managed like someone to just would come with generator. And the bastard was telephone off for 8 hours. I ordered this generator at 1 p.m. We should perform, not 8 hours, 5. We should perform before June. We have a bit of light and somehow, and this is the first performance. And he didn't show up. So we had a great sound engineer, said, okay, you know what, I will make friendship with the coffee shop by the corner. I will get some electricity, and then we will work, okay? We started 10 minutes, electricity cut. And it was like, I was sitting, and after that, I was like, I can do anything. I can do anything. But then, magic happens. Someone, a motorcycle passerby, just come with this light and just spot it on the performer. The amateurs, first timer, just lower their voices. Public, come closer. And it was one of the wonderful, most successful performances that happened ever. I don't know how it worked out.
They were meant to be.
Seriously, sometimes I feel like if we put 1 + 1, we will not be working at all. So this was one of them. Second, last October, we had this residency for artists from circus artists from 3 countries: Germany, France, and Egypt. Egyptian. Wow, we have a problem in Egypt. So correct me if I. So they had sit together in Port Said, and they worked together and give workshops for the artists, and they developed a performance together, and they started to tour, not for cities usually, but for big cities and for villages affiliated. In this city, it was in Mansoura, I think. Yeah, in Mansoura. So in Mansoura, we had a local partner, which is, it happens to a children's hospital. And they agreed to host us. So what happened? Gatekeeper closed the doors because I didn't want street children to enter the site while clowns are playing inside. Okay. And because for conflict in the hospital, I don't know, the supervisor didn't want what, that his coordinator organized this event, and started to say, called the police. Police said, why you are not telling, why you didn't inform us, as usual. We said, well, we were hosted. Every time we go to the street, we have permissions, but this time we were hosted. Anyways, so after the show, the gated show, artists come up over the bus and perform for this in the street, over the bus. We keep pushing. Why we have this development on how we state ourselves or how we label ourselves? Because we keep pushing. It's becoming very difficult to function. Very, very difficult. Every time you have to change. The changement is very, very fast. So at 2011, we couldn't say it loudly that we are working for the democratization of art to make it accessible to everyone. And at a certain point, we felt it's not possible anymore. So we have to take it off. And then we said, we have to state ourselves because we are after all, we are a company. And it wasn't for battling, it was like for a reason. We wanted to have like sustainability. We needed to have a different kind of services. So we have to be aggressive about it and say, we are LLC. Don't approach us. We are not doing anything. We are not politicized. We don't do anything. Okay. And then afterwards we said, okay, we have to say exactly what we are. And we are social and cultural enterprise. And if people don't understand this, we have to talk about it. And it's not easy to talk about. I can brag about our numbers. I can. Okay, but this is in Arabic, but I can say it. We reach over 5 year, 37,000+ audience. We performed in 14 cities. And we worked with 271 artists. We had 143 participants. 55+ volunteers, and we call them ambassadors. 6 publications sharing our knowledge. And 30 partners, which donor also, and local partners. This is the team, the current team, which keeps changing every 6 months. I'm tired. And we couldn't do it without our audience. Thank you.
Thank you. Fantastic. Well, we have got some time for some questions or comments or thoughts or suggestions.
All yours.
Yeah.
I was just going to say about it seems successful because of the community ownership that you're like creating, and like with the kids that were the singing.
Percussion.
Because they felt like they owned it, so it gave them. And I don't think that's wasted on people like that.
I don't feel
like being proud for their level. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but honestly speaking, also I don't like to. We might change things. We have like very nice testimony, people coming to us, and I think we offered sometimes first-hand experience to a live show ever to some people, and we saw sparkles in eyes, and we saw people telling us thank you for making us feeling like human beings, and we saw officers sympathizing with us when they saw our work. But I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I mean, maybe these kids, we offered them something that we will never know its impact anymore. But we are practitioners among each other. I really don't care. I mean, I care about people having good time and enjoying it and be enriched and integrate this experience in their life experience and maybe makes really difference and maybe create reference, because this is something else that we somehow we realized from the reactions, that we create reference for what it is. But I don't want to overestimate whatever we do. This is what we do. Maybe they will forget about us. Maybe, I don't know, maybe just a moment.
And I'm very underestimate it either, though. It's amazing when you think about it.
But I'm really content of offering one moment of joy or happiness or feeling that some person feel like a human being for 1 second. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm okay not to be able to continue working.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. And I don't have to justify to everyone. I know that I have to use this wording. I know that we have to keep recording it. I know how to write a proposal. I know how to talk with people about what we are doing. But I'm content with what we are doing as it is. The struggles, the changes that we are dealing with is huge daily. Our currency has cut to the half of its value in November. It's horrible. People becoming more poor. And it's horrible. I have to take permission to make a dance performance. I remember this was something me and Reem can tell. We were doing a dance in public space, and once we started to tour, I started to issue permission. And there is a lot of confusion from authority about their authority. I go to the neighborhoods, I don't know if they are allowed to give me any permissions. I go to the security and the police, they don't want to take any responsibility. They go to national security. So for one, because it happened that I presented this permission in 3 cities, and next day, I received 3 anonymous phone calls from national security asking me why I'm doing this, what I'm saying in public space, why and how, and at a certain point, it was the end of the day, it was at a certain point, hilarious, they were very polite, and I was like telling them everything, you know what, it's 4 chairs, 3 chairs, 3 dancers. I'm not using word dancing because I'm not sure about the culture and sensitivity to any word. It's a movement, and they're doing movement on chairs. They're moving from one chair to another, and some music, no lyrics. And I was saying like this, I said in the end of the evening, does it worse? And I said, yeah, okay, what other thing I would do? This is something, and actually it's not only me, I'm not talking about me, about my team. And this evening, I was calling Reem in the evening because she was in one of the cities. Why Reem? She said, she's a very decent lady. Reem, where are you now? I'm going to the police of morals. Why? Morals, right?
Yes.
Why? Because they only work in the afternoon, and when they heard that we were doing dancing in public space, they wanted to make me file a report. Usually, Reem will never approach a police station, especially not the moral. We keep pushing.
Keep pushing.
Yeah.
It just makes me think how easy we have it, how privileged we are, how and how it's actually our duty to be doing the work that we are allowed to do. We
this
have
is
a
what
voice.
I'm really arguing against it, because if we said that we are fighting police, we're fighting military rules, we are fighting, this is very visible.
Yeah.
Okay, and we can say that we are fighting this, but we don't say it because I can't dare to say it. But anyway, if this is a visible enemy that we want to choose to do it, and it's not the case, but anyways, it is, if we choose, it would be very obvious and very easy somehow, okay? But I think what we are really fighting against is our perception of our power and our ability to push the boundaries and push the system.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is really, I think this is what you are doing, because you are very in the comfort zone.
Yes.
Whoever will push a comfort zone?
Yeah.
Honestly. It's not like we are living in a
really,
really bad situation, but I mean, it's for us it's becoming more and more difficult to work because I'm a company, I'm not supposed to take grants. The only source of money is grants, international one. There is new laws for civil society, for NGOs, not to be allowed to take money from foreigner entities, and they're becoming more and more difficult about this. So we are not really targeted, but we are always in the zone of danger. We are not really what to do. And I'm asked to pay taxes over the grants that I'm getting. So I'm making negotiation with tax authority, my finance team to start with, and donors to convince them that I have to pay taxes. If not, I will not function. And every donor said, We are not. We are supporting civil society, and
How valuable is it for you to be connecting outside of Europe to the international community, and what would be the most valuable thing that the international community could offer into Egypt?
So outside of Europe or outside of Egypt?
Outside of Egypt.
I think exchange knowledge and expertise.
Because it sounds
And
like you have a
different
lot of skills to offer us, but I'm wondering what we can offer you. I'm like, oh,
No,
that's
but
amazing.
there is also things that we don't do because we don't have the means, and per se we don't have the know-how about it. So I find like knowledge is something very important to have, and actually this kind of discussions, because it's also not. I think it's not very hard to have us and you and you. It's just like also very good to see how other sides are struggling in a different way. This is in a very broad sense, but it's also sometimes very good to connect with someone and develop ideas and say, let's do this and let's do that, and maybe it can work this way, and sometimes it happens because we keep pushing for it. As to say.
Can I ask if you ever meet problems on the streets doing your performances from other people in the street, because there's obviously all sorts of tensions.
As reaction from the audience, right?
Yeah, or maybe not the audience, but from people who have a claim on that public space and what should be happening in it, or you as or your performers, or as women, or any of those.
Well, the amount of problems that we face is very minor through the year, honestly. So once we had a problem, but it wasn't really for the performance, but for the cameraman. So people were in the wagon, and in the first project where we performed in the metro subway, and some audience were sensitive to the camera. And usually this is why we lesson learned. We usually talk to our videographers and make sure that using small cameras, not very invasive, be visible for people who they can see that they are taking pictures. But nothing really major happened. I don't think based on this experience. Maybe this is I think this is the only one big that we had with local entities. I mean, and at the same time we try to go back again to the same space and perform, but it always depends on the nature of the performance. But I don't think there is any problem receiving it in a way. In the contrary, actually, it helped us, and on a personal level, it helped me to be liberated in a way, and from all the stereotypes that you can have about people. I have been approached with people with niqab, burqa, and trying to analyze a piece of contemporary dance, seriously. And she was telling me, this is about this and that, and then I received very bad, sometimes not very bad, but some other people that I thought that they might understand what we are doing. They said like, yeah, we didn't get it. But this lady in burqa, she understood it completely, what was the content of the piece. And so this is one of the stereotypes. Sometimes I was approached with a guy with a big beard and kids, and said, oh my God, I will be. And he said, this is really great what you did. I want to give some drawing lesson to the kids. You know where? Okay. Well, but then I also realized how I am judgmental and really stereotyping and superficial and sometimes very stupid, and maybe I have to learn to accept it. No, but I mean, generally we didn't have problems. When we have permission, okay. Yeah, one I stated in this article that you told me, Chris, but this was from the security, actually. Yeah. We were performing our first one that we are touring with big spotlight and marching bands. And in first location, it was really good. And this was the first time we toured out of Cairo, so we were very boom, boom, boom. And we had this is how we go into the process of getting permission. And one exception in 5 years, we had a written permission. This was never happened before. Usually, they have everything, the ID of everyone, the details of everything. I said, okay, go. I need paper. No, go. Well, we know. It's fine. Okay. So always keep us in the shaky position. So in this, we had a written one. And then the guy was really the head of the neighborhood, was really happy with us. I said, okay, you know what? Where are you going? We said, like, this is the neighborhood Al-Arab, which is in a bit in a remote area, and we have like a local market there, so we will walk along the market. Okay, no, don't start in the beginning of the market. Go in 2 feet before it, just like 1 square, start there. And something that we never do, it was in front of the police station. So we had all the trucks, all securities, with their arms, with their mask. And it was like, whew. Okay, so I just came there, and because I have a paper, said, we have a permission to do what? To walk on this. What we are doing performance. What do you mean? Performance, live performance, puppetry, music, marching band. And I started to point. We will do this. These artists will put on this and will walk or the way. And they didn't get it because there is no reference for live performance. As simple as that. So this is where we had like a trouble, and then the policeman called his chief, and his chief, he didn't do any effort. He just get out of the building, see me. And then I repeat all this, and the chief didn't know what we are doing, but then he shut up because, sorry, he just didn't do any objection because I have the permission. And then he told me, don't perform in this way in the street because it is full of drug dealer. Perform in this, the main street. But usually also we do some effort in scouting. We have a checklist, long checklist about what to do, what not to do, how to try to work in the neighborhood. And if it's remote or informal, we always have tried to find local partners who work there. So we are secured by the people, not by the thing. And I think in this case, even if the police give me hundreds of permissions, it won't work if the people are not accepting or not already introduced to it. So it depends every time, but we do a lot of scouting.
May I ask you 3 questions? Short ones.
3. Okay.
You mentioned that there was a long tradition of street performances. Would it be fire eater or snakes and stuff like that? How was it just before the revolution? Was it still alive?
No. I think there is nothing really academic or documenting the practice, why and how it vanished. But I was just saying to Simon that I think it's related to the nationalism of Nasser, who at a certain point in the 60s and 70s somehow make every kind of art national. So we got the national puppetry theater, we got the national theater. So I think these artists start to somehow, these practices start to die somehow, and people like either join the herd of the national troops or dies.
Yes. My second question would be, in a picture, if I seen well, there was a calligraphic graffiti. Graffiti was quite important in the Arabic Revolution. Do you have any link with these artists?
No, not really. Even we tried to engage them. No, we didn't do anything related to graffiti somehow. I don't know why, but maybe because nothing really was something inspiring us to work on it for the project. So again, usually we develop these ideas either by meeting artists, like for example this theater group, and say, yeah, they are very inspiring, why don't we try to put them in different settings in the public space? So we do try also to convince artists to work in public space. Or just it happens that already graffiti artists has their way and means, and they really don't need this mediation between them and the audience, I feel. So for us, I never felt like we have a role in between. Somehow.
And my last question is how do you advertise your events?
Okay. So usually we do posters or flyers. We used in the beginning, in the first project, we do the flyers and we distribute it and we announce where we are doing, what we are doing. And then one event was really not very successful, teach us not to do so. So we did, by then in 2012, we had like one video art night in the public space in a square. So who came is our artsy friend, who were very interesting and to see this happening in public space. So what happened? I don't know. I wasn't there present, but according to my partner, what happened is the crowd made like a barrier, social barrier between what is happening and the passerbys. Passerbys pass by and see artsy people, and we know that artsy people look strange, but recognizable in a different way. I'm sorry. So somehow, no offense. But then actually, and even in pictures, I can even see this. Like you have the screen with video art, and around it, all our friends from the art scene. So somehow it made like a certain barrier. So afterward we took the decision that usually we do flyers, but we distribute during the performance. So we have us and volunteers or ambassadors distributing these flyers or half an hour before the flyer, just to inform that is happening, what's happening. And we always have different way of things, like we have our publication to document the project. We have videos. We have our channel is quite updated about all our work. So we have different way of PRing, but not really by usual way.
You use a lot of social media.
We used look over five years. We changed almost 6 to 7 communication officer. So yeah, we do social media, but it's always very challenging. Very challenging because in the beginning we have this position, and this guy or this person or this lady has to work online and offline. And then from very little we started to learn maybe we have to separate community engagement officer and communication, just like making our social media documentation and stuff. Because the mindset is completely different. I think we always ask for the impossible, and we learn by the hard way. By changing 6 and over 6, 7. Yeah, we have plenty of inspiration.
Are there many other organisations like yours?
As working on the art in general, or
yeah,
working
or
on
doing similar to what you're doing, bringing stuff to the streets.
We have theatre companies and clowning, but they are not. I don't think they are officially registered or anything. But organizing and producing, no. I don't think so.
You were talking about bringing people together who did similar things in the wider region.
Yeah, actually we are putting together a meeting, co-writing lab, this late March, for this reason, because we noticed that there is a practice in public space in the last 10, in contemporary way, I mean, and at least last 10 years in the region as not documented. And I mean, I think Florine, you know all what is happening in Arab region, and I don't know. No, seriously, I mean, this is, to this extent, mobility is very difficult in the Arab region. It's very easy to have, like, to travel to UK or Europe than traveling across Arab countries. So this initiative is actually to bring practitioners together, and we already tried to meet them in focus groups or Skyping, just to gather all the topics that we want to talk about. And then we will meet for 3 days, and we have editorial teams and facilitators who will work with this material to have a publication in 3 languages to document contemporary practices. And actually, we are not sure it will be published or online publication, but I think we are still discussing this possibility. Plus learning clips and videos, easy to disseminate and to exchange. And maybe start off a network. You know.
Yeah, great.
Great. Well,
Thank you.
many thank you.
Tomorrow, actually, what we will be doing is actually sharing knowledge, doing a workshop for you guys. It's really, I mean, we are not that So what we will do is we share our knowledge about how to revive abandoned spaces through art, so this project that we did, and we will discuss together a more specific thing. I hope you enjoy. But it's all about your knowledge, it's really.
Yeah.
And
Well,
yours.
that'll be great. So yeah, Heba and Reem will be running a session, and Florian will also be doing a short piece.
Yeah.
For
Share
to
with
share.
you.
To share.
Please share
To
with you.
share.
Yeah.
I have some flyers if you want.
And there's flyers here to collect.
Yeah.
Here we go. The food will be sort of 10 minutes or 15 minutes, so the bar is open. And the heating will go on.
Yep.
One other thing, I just had an email from Sue Orty. Last year she shared some her history of her ankle,
Yeah.
and she wanted to update us with that. So very, very quickly.
Let's share the story.